Hey, everybody, welcome back to Too Many Men, the pre-NHL break version. My name is Alison Lucan. I'm so happy to be here with y'all. I am also so happy to be with, one of the coolest things about this podcast is that the three of us each learn from each other and can become better for it. And when I say it might be one of my proudest moments, I'm sure it was one of hers, is that Sara Sivian is now our cap expert. After all this time going to Shayna as our business expert, Sara was absorbing and growing the knowledge. And she is the go-to if you Google for intel because her Substack is thriving. Sara Sivian, how the hell are you?
I'm good. 7 in the morning, I got pissed off by a fan on National Women and Girls in Sports Day because he messaged me after that and was like, I love your work, but that's probably because this is on your own Google history feed. I'm like, first of all, you love my work and you're insinuating that I don't know how to fucking use Google. Yes, I checked on my boyfriend's computer, I checked on incognito mode, and for that moment in time, you Google that salary kept rising, I am there with my little memes. So don't act like I love your work, but just to bring me down at 7 in the morning, insisting that, oh, she doesn't know how to. The post was about, I've loved integrating SEO. And he said, just letting you know that's probably due to your history. I'm like,
If you're
can
gonna
you
add a
fucking,
but, just stop. But
Exactly.
just stop. Whatever you're saying, cut yourself
If
off.
you add a butt,
oh,
you're a butt. How about that?
yeah, yeah. So I don't appreciate that support. But anyway, yes, I mean, the salary cap going, I mean, I needed them to, Gary, to get an article out of me, you got to do something good. And he did something good. So snaps for Gary. I guess Bill Daly, but
And there we have also not just our intro of Sara Sivian, but our Miko Rantanen. We love to see it. And again, if we talk about Sara taking on the cap role, we are so blessed to have the greatest mind in hockey who has analyzed a flurry of trades, taking away her weekend, and is getting us ready with content for the Four Nations Faceoff and selling
And
sick upcycle shit. It is the tremendous, the wonderful, the perfect Shayna Goldman. Shayna, say hi.
hi. Speaking of that upcycled gear, I have a very important announcement for you that maybe some Seattle Kraken scraps were cut up last night to become
Oh,
a belt bag.
oh,
Because I have to give my two favorite influencers their bags.
well, that is very exciting. That is very, very exciting. All right. Here we are, the three of us. This is, in fact, our last episode before the break, unless something majorly drastic comes up and or Sara and I choose to remove ourselves from our vacation that we are taking. No
not
promises
together,
that
unfortunately, but come to Vermont.
I'm going where it's warm. I love you, but I'm going where it's warm. So
There.
sorry. All right, Sara, before you head to Vermont, we have to do something. What time is it?
Bitter news.
Love that for us. All right, you guys. This week, our bit o news may actually be our entire podcast because so much is happening. We know that the hockey men sometimes can't keep track of basic things like humanity and equality. They also apparently can't keep track of the calendar because it seems like some GMs think it's the first week in March, right before the trade deadline. We have so many trades. Let us start, y'all. Let us pour one out. Is our national nightmare over? In a trade announced on Friday the 1st, trade announced on Friday, the Vancouver Canucks send JT Miller, Eric Brandstrom, and Jackson Dorrington to the Rangers in exchange for Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, and a protected first round pick. We all knew something was coming to the Canucks. We finally have the deets. Sara, I would like your opinion first on this move. We knew that the Canucks were going to lose it. Jim Rutherford told us so. What do you think?
My sweet, sweet summer child. The international nightmare is just getting started because we are now criticizing Pedersen even more. And I mean, Eddie Lack, I love that he stirs shit up as an alum. Like, I just kind of love the vibe of him giving into the Vancouver chaos. But as somebody had tweeted that Pedersen did a great job boxing somebody out on Jake DeBrusk's goal. And um, he was just like, oh, so now we're any other star in the league, are we kind of giving them snaps for, I guess we're giving everyone snaps, but are we giving them snaps for boxing people out? It's a fair question. Pedersen does have to step up his game, but he never asked for any of this, right? So it's just kind of a situation where the team's getting worse, duh, because you're getting rid of a dynamic player. And now there's more pressure on the guy that they kept. But it's just like you got to have the context with this one. And Pedersen's not going to magically improve. I don't know what anybody wants out of him.
Yeah, I saw some of that, Sarah. Guys were like, "Hey, like he's actually in the right position," and then they're like, the bar is literally on the floor that we're excited about the most basic like hockey behaviors from this man. But Shayna, this trade happened in a team that is in your backyard. The Rangers. JT Miller gets there very, very quickly. He's living with his friend Vincent Trocheck, according to reports. Has, I believe it's 2 goals in his first 2 games. And meanwhile, the Canucks, and we'll get to the fact that they made another move here in a second, that the Canucks lose the next 2 games after the trade. However, they do blank the Colorado Avalanche last night as we record. The JT Miller transaction specifically, your thoughts?
Okay. I have a lot. Shocker. Listen, we all knew this was going to happen, right? Like, it was pretty obvious, one, that Miller was getting traded, and two, likely to the Rangers. He has a no movement clause, and that's going to lower the return, let alone the entire situation, right? So the Canucks are going to come out like the slight losers in this, but it's not a perfect deal for either team in this because you look at the cap going up is what's going to save this for the Rangers because otherwise I think you would look at it and go, that is way too expensive of a deal. But I think the later years are going to look a lot better because there's a ton more cap room. But you look at the contracts they already have and, you know, especially down the middle with Trocheck and Zibanejad that you add Miller into it. And who knows? Maybe Mika Zibanejad's a winger now. Maybe he was the right winger he's been missing since Pavel Buchnevich was traded and he never even knew it. Like, who's to say? And then you can smooth this out. But I think you might come into a problem this summer where they have to move some deals out. But listen, the cost of acquisition here was really low. Does he bring things that they need? Yes. Is he a great 5-on-5 player all the time? No, and that's the biggest issue is his inconsistency. But when he's going, he can be a total monster on the ice, right? Like he is someone who brings a ton of energy. He could be a good on both ends of the ice. He can be everything the Rangers need and more. There's just so many different ways this can go based on just what JT Miller has done in the last we don't even need to go his whole career, 3 years. So there you go.
Three games.
3 games, right? You have, and it's so funny too because like you have to like be so careful with your wording of things. Like here's JT Miller's first as a Ranger. Like no, actually, it was the 73rd goal. It just took 7 years to get it. But like he makes some sense for them. But I feel like this is a move you make when you're a contender and you need that last piece, and he's the last piece versus whatever the Rangers are this year, if they're realistic about that and don't just buy at the deadline, like it's fine, right? Like if management still sees the big picture, they can make this work. But they lost big pieces in this too.
Yes. So that was the first move that the Canucks made. And I must say to you both, I'm a little uncomfortable. There was a report that came out after the trade that there was basically an incident where the team had to call a meeting in Florida. And that is what preceded JT Miller's 10-game personal leave that happened early in the season. We don't know what happened. I'm a bit uncomfortable where they all seem to be kind of blaming Pedersen. And there was a report that came out on the weekend that the room wasn't happy, that Pedersen was staying and not JT Miller. We don't know what happened. So I don't know that we're ready to say one's like the good guy and one's the bad guy just because Pedersen's game isn't on the ice. I don't know. That's just
Can
me.
I
Yes.
also add to like the situation, I feel like it keeps getting talked about, and it's like, well, the players had to take things upon themselves. And it's like, I also look at it and I'm just like, Rick Tocchet is not there to be some like X's and O genius. And Jim Rutherford has been around the NHL forever. I don't know where Patrick Allvin stands in this because he is the quietest of them all. And obviously Tocchet is the most like front facing to the media and Jim Rutherford can't stop talking to the media. So I just look at I have so many questions and I want to know like whose decision it was for things to get handled the way they were, like how this whole situation evolved. Like I feel like everyone just puts it straight up on the players and specifically Elias Pettersson and it's like, okay, wait. Can we just like get the facts and also figure out where everybody else stands in it because I have an issue with that. Like I'm truly curious how the vibes are going to be in Vancouver now because I do think that they got are they the loser in the deal? Yes, but they got good players back. Like Filipino is a really good player if he can stay healthy. And he makes a lot of things happen. And I think we're seeing that already. And Mancini, I think, has the potential to be really good too.
I like that you say I was going to make a smart ass remark, but I'm just going to move on because there's more that's happening here. So then we thought that Vancouver might be done. We knew that that was the one big move they had to make, but they said no. They said, we've gotten rid of JT Miller. And do you know what we need? We need more Pedersons. So they called up the Pittsburgh Penguins, and on that same day, that first round pick that they just got from the Rangers, they sent to Pittsburgh along with Danton Heinen, Vincent Descharnay, and Melvin Fernstrom for defender Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. So now the Canucks were done. Sara, do we appreciate the vibe that basically the Canucks are sick of being the Canucks and they would just like to be the Vancouver Pedersons?
Yeah, I loved all the discourse about who gets what nickname. Like the defense, Elias Pettersson is junior, Marcus Pettersson is PD. So we've,
DPD.
Yeah,
yeah,
DPD. Yeah.
DPD, very important distinction because of
I,
course Elias Senior
I'm glad
is
it's Elias and
PD.
Elias though. Like last night on
Yeah,
the broadcast,
yeah,
they were very clear with that I knew exactly who they were talking
yeah.
about when they had the same shifts. I was like, okay, I
And
I
can work with
also,
that.
actually,
I must say, as someone has to talk about players on TV, like there was a year where the Kraken had a Schwartz, a Schultz, a Jaden, a Jordan, and a Justin. And I was like, I'm going to fuck this up at some time. So just give everyone the same name. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think they had to trade JT Miller to add a second and third Pedersen. Like there's just now the Pedersens are taking over and it's their regime. But not really. When you say the Vancouver Canucks are sick of being the Vancouver Canucks, my first thought there was Danton Heinen is the prime example of like a Vancouver Canuck right now, where it's like you're not necessarily doing anything detrimental, but you're not a game breaker. I love Heinen on like a team that is going to win the cup in the fourth line, but like that they need more impact players. So I like Pettersson on them their D because they need defense.
They definitely need defense. And it has been reported as well that Vancouver's Carson Soucy is available for a trade. Of course, he has, I believe it's a full no move. So I don't know how that gets swung, but here we are. And we should also note that Quinn Hughes has not played the last two games. So we're watching him as well to see the more and more players in terms of who may or may not end up playing for Four Nations. It's all the drama. The Canucks always deliver. But we were not done, my friends, because the NHL is committed to the bit where there will always be trades on Friday and everyone wants to be the talk of the town. So then came the Calgary Flames, a team that, if you look at the underlying numbers, is really kind of mid, but they have tremendous goaltending and are in a playoff spot. They make a, hey, we sort of kind of believe in you move, where they acquired Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee from the Flyers in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Pelletier, and some picks. Shayna, thoughts? Did I say something wrong?
Was it Thursday that one? That one came
Oh,
first.
you're right. Thank you.
Because I remember I was writing fantasy during it and I literally changed something I had in there because of the trade.
Yes. Thank you. I
Oh,
appreciate
sorry.
that.
I just like it just was
Thursday. It makes it
Thursday.
even better. They're kind of mid. It's kind of an upgrade. It's kind of Friday, but not really. Thoughts?
It's yeah, I mean like it was a surprise. Like it happened mid-game. Players are getting pulled out of the game. It's a little bit different than JT Miller is getting scratched for this game. He won't be playing, or this night is almost over and Marcus Pettersson's getting traded. Like I don't know. It was here's mid-game. Um I like it for the Flames. I like it for getting Morgan Frost alone. I would like to see Joel Farabee in a new environment. It has nothing to do with Torts or the Flyers, and I'm like I keep hearing that's everyone's commentary. Like, no, I think that the Flames are a better team than expected this year, but they need more high-end offensive talent. And if they're not going to get superstars up front, you need to build a really strong, deep lineup, like what the Kraken have done. Like at their best, that's their weapon, right? Is three scoring lines. If the Flames want to do that, go off. And I feel like you have a lot of potential from Frost and Farabee with that. So I like it for them. I was surprised they got both players out of it. The Flyers side of it, I don't love it as much.
Well, and the guys
Like
haven't played yet, right?
Kuzmenko hasn't.
Okay.
He has not. I don't know if either
Charlie, I saw had a report, but since
Yeah.
every team and their cousin had to play yesterday, I'm still catching up. But Charlie had a report as to why. Okay, you keep talking about the Flyers.
I just I the thing I like about it for the Flyers is I liked what the general manager said afterwards. And I like how they're saying like these are young GMs and you talk to them more and like you have that like point of contact a little bit more that makes these deals easier to happen. And I do like that. Like while it wasn't my favorite trade for Briere, it's nice to see like he's building those relationships with general managers and it's not like I don't know. I feel like it's ushering in a new era of GMs. Like maybe there's going to be more communication. Maybe we're going to see more movement as a result. So I like that much at least.
So they did not play, if I'm correct here, because Charlie reported as of 23 hours ago that they were still waiting on visa issues.
Okay, that makes sense. I know
So
Farabee scored last night and played already, and Frost
yeah, but
played
those two
too.
have played, right? It's
Yeah.
just the Flyers players have not. The new Flyers players have not played. Sarah, do you like this trade for either side, or is it just kind of we always hear about how a room like signals to the GM, please bolster us, or oh no, it's time to sell, and the GM what they moves they make is a message to the room. Which side do you like this for, if either?
Oh, I mean, I granted don't know much about the guys going to the Flyers, but for the Flames, it really is you did your big fire sale a few seasons ago, and now you want something that's not going to hurt the team as you're doing like a quasi retool and you're suddenly in a playoff spot. I think you'd rather kind of ride the playoff spot and see what happens. So I kind of like that these two guys bring both of those elements.
So we talked about some teams that were making moves because they had to, because of drama, because they're kind of sort of supporting a team, like you said, Sarah, that maybe shouldn't be all in, but you have to do something. There was another trade, and for me, this was the one that seemed to be most out of necessity and maybe not a purely strategic, we're bulking up for the trade deadline, and that is the Dallas Stars. This trade went down Saturday. And we know that Miro Heiskanen has been out. We'll get to that update in a second when we get to our injury news. But on Saturday, Dallas gets Cody Ceci and Michael Granlund from San Jose in exchange for, this is pretty penny, the 2025 first and the 2025 fourth. If Dallas makes the finals this year, that will upgrade to a third. And again, so for me, Shayna, this one was about the fact that they are really depleted on defense. Their defense wasn't as much of a strength this year as it was last. And then they lose one of their big guns on the back end. You see Granlund come in. That's a nice offensive boost. What do you think about this transaction?
There's good and bad to it, right? Like that's the price of acquisition's high, and you know the big price of it is for Granlund. We know how expensive centers tend to be towards the deadline. Yes, I know he doesn't always play center, and he's probably going to play wing there because you have Matt Duchene, but it adds someone with that ability to play center, which I think is a really great weapon that the Stars have. They have so many different players who can shift to different positions. It gives you a way to completely redo your lineup instead of being like 1, 2, 3, 4 must stay in place and everybody can rove around him. Like it gives you so much more positional flexibility. If you're a contender, you should want that. So I like it from that aspect of it. I really like Granlund for the Stars, but he is to me one of the more interesting players who was on the trade block. They took away my story. This was supposed to be right out of the Four Nations break about Granlund and what he brings to a lineup in a top six capacity versus on a contender where he might play a little bit lower. Now, for the Stars with the Tyler Seguin injury, he's probably going to get second line minutes, and I think that's going to agree with him. But you see the difference of when he went to Pittsburgh versus what he's done in San Jose. Huge difference is how much power play opportunity he has because he played a bunch with the Sharks and next time with the Penguins. And obviously, on that Penguins third line, they had zero offense. It was not on him, and they forced him to play center, which at the time he really wasn't doing. So it was a bad fit for all the reasons, but you have to wonder too, like, if he gets shifted into a third line role, will his game take a step back like it did then? I would think no, because the Stars have a lot more support, but it's the one thing I am a little bit curious about here. As for Cece, listen, we all watched the Oilers last year. We all watched Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci take on matchup minutes in the postseason, and when they started making adjustments, the Oilers had their best chance of winning. They got rid of Cody Ceci. And look at what's happened to Darnell Nurse. Yes, they've changed his usage a bit, but they've been able to revitalize his game completely when he seemed totally washed in those minutes with Ceci. He has been playing horrific minutes in San Jose. He's had no support in San Jose. Has he still been bad? Yes. Is he going to be bad in Dallas? Well, I'm going to guess probably, because as much as we like the Stars and their defensive structure, let's be honest, that defense isn't what it was. And without Heiskanen, it's 10 times worse. So can they withstand Cody Ceci till the playoffs and then not play him in matchup minutes? Maybe. But would I trust that? No. Would I pay that much for it? Absolutely not. I get it. There's not many defensemen available, but geez, no, thank you.
Sara, do you agree with my opinion that this is more of a stopgap kind of trade versus a go all in for the deadline kind of trade by general manager Jim Nill? What do you think we will see from the new players in Dallas?
There we go.
Yeah, I really would not like to see him play many minutes, but I understand. It's like Shayna just summed that up perfectly because he's not a stopgap. Like he's going to make the team worse unless he's next to like the golden boy, and you're not putting him next to Thomas Harley. Please do not. Please do not. But I think you're going to see the strategy of when Heiskanen comes back, of course, with the heavy top-loaded minutes of the top six with this defense. They're young and like they can handle it, and they've proved that they can. I don't know. I loved the Granlund move, but I mean, I'm never going to like trade for Cody Ceci. I don't know how else to put that.
It is interesting though. Like everyone's so willing to move out their 2025 first round picks, and we're going to see more of a theme of that. It's because like the draft is not very deep, so it'll be interesting to see how many teams just move them, how many are going to do that like top 10 protection. If you're the Stars, you know you're making the playoffs. You don't need to protect the pick unless someone can really trash your season. I don't even think Cody Ceci's that bad to do it. Okay, like it's fine. It'll be fine. But
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more picks move.
Well, it's an interesting indictment on the coming year's draft class, right? Because we keep hearing it's not super deep and it's not super high end. So to that point, sounds like in 2 years they're going to be much more valuable than this year, it seems. But who's to say? I'm not a
Who's
draft
to
expert.
say? Nope.
Who's to say? All right. We had another player switch teams, but not via trade. And Sara, the Vegas Golden Knights always seem to find a way to do something that they want, but I don't know how this will ultimately pan out. Brandon Saad, who is in the back end of his career, obviously has won a Stanley Cup, was waived and then waived for purposes of termination by the St. Louis Blues after a very underwhelming performance this season. When that contract gets terminated, who swoops in but Vegas, and they sign him for a prorated 1.5 million for the rest of the season. I was honestly surprised to see that and to hear that there may have been numerous teams who had interest in Saad. Sara, do you like this move for Vegas? Is Brandon Saad washed, or is he going to revive and show us all?
I mean, I think the contract's the biggest issue there. And I think like what we talk about the Golden Knights, it's like, do they have depth issues? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Like, it's very hard to get a consistent read on them. But I think on the third line, that's a good fit. I think he fits with the Mark Stoney type player. I think Mark Stone can really play with anyone. And the fact that he wants to take less money to win, I think they need more players maybe in that mindset. So I don't know, kind of low key decent hopes for that, even though like I wouldn't put it makes sense to me, but I wouldn't put him on like other contending teams. I don't know. Maybe like he's fine on that third line to me.
Shayna, do you like it or not? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm fine with it. Like their winger depth is not what it was. They've invested so much on defense, so much at center. It's like you always look at Vegas and you're like, what position is going to suffer because of their spending? And it feels like they just like find one area, work on it, and degrade a different one. I think the thumbs up to me is Saad. Like I really respect that he was like, I want to revive my career, even if it means not getting this money. He gave up, like $3 million to do this and goes, I'm gonna find somewhere my cap hit will fit. Like it's impossible. So I think it was a bold move by him, hoping, thinking, betting on himself that a team would go for some depth. And you could see why teams would, right? Like even if he's not the best version of himself right now, like he's a Stanley Cup champ and GMs care about that, and he could be your 13th forward in the postseason if he's cheap enough. So I respect that he went for it at least.
All right. Well, that's all the players who changed teams. Now let's talk about the players who aren't changing teams. They're not even able to suit up for their teams right now. We alluded to this already, but Miro Heiskanen gets involved in and looked kind of like a knee-on-knee hit with Mark Stone. I did not think it was malicious, but the overall outcome was some bummer of a news. I really like this player. He's been ruled week to week, excuse me, month to month. He had surgery on the knee. It was successful, but we don't know anything else about it other than that. A big loss for me. My friends, we have a whole slew of injuries to go through. So quickly, do we want to talk about this one or move on?
It just sucks. That's like
Yeah.
kind of what you say.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
He's like their stabilizer, right? Like he doesn't have the flashy game that you expect of a number one defenseman because others have like set the bar so high and we're all waiting for him to like have his moment. But then we forget about the quiet stability. Like Thomas Harley stepped up for him last year and did a really good job and he made a name for himself at that time, but I'm like, are you going to do that again for this long? Especially when you look at some of the other defensemen on this blue line. Like, I can't stress that enough. I don't know what the Stars did last summer.
All right, let's move on. This is one that you and look, fine, come for me if you want, but like the Islanders are just so boring. I rarely pay attention to them. And then all of a sudden, I saw this headline come across my timeline that Matt Barzal is out indefinitely. And this has ramifications for a team that has been surging in terms of winning lately. Shayna, I literally have no clue what happened. Tell the people what happened and what you make of this in terms of the impact to his team.
He got hurt on Saturday night against the Lightning. I did not get to sit there and like inspect it. We were having a party and I was with Islander fans. We're all screaming and yelling and crying over this. And they're like, "That's it, season's cooked." And then they won the game. So I did not go back fully to this yet. I will, but I do know like they're down Dobson. Then they lost Ryan Pulock, and you're like, how are they going to manage this? And they're finding depth defensemen, guys like Perunovic, guys like Boquist, who are stepping up for them, and that's great and wonderful. But how many injuries can a team truly withstand? I don't know. It's really tough to say. And with Barzell, he's been hurt twice this year. When he's in the lineup, he's been great. I think it's like the best version we've seen of him in a minute. If I'm the Islanders, this is my sign. Like it's nice you went on this run and had some fun and you found low-key guys that might be able to help you and you can use the rest of the season to decide if they are longer term fits. Nothing wrong with that, right? But it's my sign of like that win, those wins, that streak is not enough to go on a deep run. Could you make the playoffs? Maybe. Like the East is up in the air, and if you keep playing like that, sure. And Sorokin's been great, but are you going to do damage in the playoffs? And it's like that's the question I think we talk about the Flames, right? You're in a playoff spot, go for it. It's so different for the Islanders that I would look at it and it's my like confirmation, like do not take this last stretch as like guidance for what you should do at the deadline. Like if you can sell Brock Nelson, get a haul back for him, which I think you would, do it. If you can move Pajot, do it. As much as the team might want to compete, like just be realistic. But then again, it's Lou. He'll probably do nothing.
And Sarah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. As we record this, while they have won 8 of their last 10, the Islanders still sit, as of our recording, 3 points out of a playoff spot. They're right in the middle of the pack in terms of games played, so no real advantage or disadvantage there. But year after year, the Islanders continue to not make themselves into a true contender. Does Lou need to buy or sell?
If I'm in his shoes, I actually can't. Like I can't sell Brock Nelson. Like I'm not doing that. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. I don't know, maybe it's a hot take, and I'm not an Islanders lover. We all know that, but the East is such an embarrassing mess for some of the teams that are supposed to be up top that they need to be punished by the New York Islanders.
Wow.
That's my take, I think.
Sarah Sivian, friend of the people, friend of the Islander fans. I'm bringing you to my next party. You can be friends with everyone.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
All right, the injuries continue. It is an onslaught, my friends. Logan Cooley out indefinitely, lower body for the Utah Clubbers. Shayna, how much does this impact Utah's playoff hopes?
This is a tough one because he's been so good for them. Center depth is their biggest weakness, and I think he's just been excellent lately. You just see the progress, like game to game to game for him. The good news is they're getting Dylan Gunther back, who's one of their best offensive threats, and that'll help. But I mean, I would be a little bit worried here because it's not. He's out for a week, and then it's Four Nations, and he'll be right back. So that's going to be a little bit more challenging to navigate when they definitely have an uphill battle moving forward. Like they're so far out of it that I'm hoping they can go for it. And listen, if any team has the assets to make a trade and go for something, it's them. They have a million defensemen. And as guys get healthier, like Jersey, you're gonna have more that are expendable. But this one's unfortunate. I'm personally bummed because I really like watching Cooley, and I feel like him with Keller has been like a total blast.
Sarah, Utah, cooked or still in it?
Oh, they've been cooked, and it's just sad to see a really good young player go down when they could just like, there's something about the time of the year when you're cooked and now there's a weight off of you and you can play really well. So hate to see him out during this time, but excited to see what the club will do at the deadline to see if it's different than Arizona, please.
All right. This is one that pains us. We have been big advocates for this team, and we saved it for the last of the significant injury updates, and that is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, after a loss against Buffalo last game and a loss in Dallas as they were on the road, are currently 1 point out of a playoff spot. They are on the higher end of games played, but not to a significant advantage yet. But y'all, that Dallas game was brutal with already Boone Jenner out, but expected back after Four Nations. Sean Monahan out with the wrist injury, expected back mid to late March. Gabranson expected back mid to late March. Chinikov out with no timetable. Dante Fabro was out on this road trip with an injury. They lose Kirill Marchenko to a broken jaw. And Zach Werenski gets injured in the Dallas game, doesn't play last night versus Buffalo. Aside from the fact that we want to cheer for this team, everyone in the league wants to cheer for this team and see them be a great story. How concerned are you about the Blue Jackets? Or is this one of those teams where the break might be coming at exactly the right time to help them stay afloat?
I love the positive spin at the end there because that's exactly right. And you look at what the rest of the teams are doing in their position again, and they're still 1 point out of the playoffs. And you just think they have the spirit this year. It really, I mean, it sucks though, because this is the one team where like injuries can be an excuse. You know what I mean? You're getting the time of year where there are devastating injuries all around, but the breadth of these injuries and the Marchenko one was particularly terrible. He's sitting on the bench and he gets a broken jaw. Like that is just, if anything, though, it's a rallying cry. And I love the vibe around the team, and maybe it gives, I don't know, Fantilli more space to go off because he'd been playing really well with the more minutes. So I don't know, the 2 game losing streak, you don't want to see that bleed into the break. But I mean, it sucks. You can't blame them if it goes sour, but I really hope it doesn't.
Shayna, thank God Buffalo came out and started a fight last game. That's surely what propelled them to victory over Columbus. But do you agree with Sarah that this is a team that can stay afloat post break?
That
Columbus.
fight gave me the vibes of, if you guys remember, after the Tom Wilson shit with the Rangers the next game, they had to come out swinging and fighting to be like, look, we're tough off the opening draw. And it's like, I get they wanted more of a response, but please save the theatrics for later. Um, I really hope they can hold on to this spot. I think the fact that Zach Werenski is not going to be out long term is the most important one because to me, he isn't just Norris caliber, he's MVP caliber for them. If there weren't so many names in the race, maybe he'd get a little more hype there. And I get that he's not going to. It's similar to last year. Like, it's not a knock if you don't get it because there's so many options for that award. But, like, the Marchenko one's really tough because he's been, like, their top winger all year. He's been great. He's so much fun to watch. So it piles up. Guys like Dante Fabro have come in and they've played really important roles. I would not have lost him for nothing if I'm Nashville. Like, there's a lot to like about this team. And I was really impressed at their road trip too, because they're winning on the road, which has been a problem all year. They won a back-to-back game, which has been a problem all year. And you go, okay, wait, maybe finally they're progressing because it's been like building blocks all year, right? From Everson coming in, the team growing, dealing with other injuries. It just you might hit a wall. So yes, the timing of the break is great for them. They're also a team that, like the Flames, can afford to bring in reinforcements if they so choose. I don't blame them if they don't because look at the playoff race, but I also don't blame them if they do. I mean, Sarah, what do you hate more than anything in the playoff race when you look at the standings and there's one number that jumps out in red that so many teams have and Columbus is at 0?
Goal differential.
Would you, if you're the Blue Jackets, you're like, we're at 0. We're not Boston at -23. Maybe we have a
Exactly.
shot.
The rest is still unwritten. Like 0 could be 1. And guess what? The Islanders are at -6. So you know what? Give up.
That's it.
Columbus, keep
That's
going.
Thank you for your
Boston's was the one I
analysis.
was like, I keep looking at it. I'm like, is it getting better? Because I know Swayman's playing so much better now, but I keep looking at that one number for Boston, and I know there's so much more to like their whole story this year. But oh my God, like, what are you gonna do? Go around and lose like Washington did last year?
There's not much else to the whole story this year. It's bad. No power play and
Bad
Swayman
defense.
good sometimes.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. All right. That I think does it for our Bitso news. That was a full-on meal. Sidney Crosby did get crunched in the game yesterday. Apparently, he did not skate this morning. I have not seen any further update. But what's going to be interesting is I watch Shayna checking to see if she can find a
He's
better update.
evaluated for an upper body injury per Mike Sullivan. No other information available.
It's going to be interesting to see which of all of these players ends up getting to Four Nations anyway, and then maybe doesn't end up being ready to come back after Four Nations break. We'll do it. This is impromptu on me. Quick over under, Shayna. How many players that are currently injured now withdraw from Four Nations that we haven't already heard from?
If I'm the Canucks, I beg Quinn Hughes. Beg him with all my might. Don't do it. Don't play. As
That's
much
not
as
a
I
number. This is not a
That's one.
number.
I'm gonna say so out of the list because we already have Heiskanen out,
Yes.
right?
Carlson out. Are you guys talking about players who've already withdrawn or have?
I'm no, I'm going who's left of the injuries we just went through. It's really Crosby and Hughes.
And
I'm gonna say
Werenski, we officially don't know.
we're okay. Werenski's playing. Mark it down. Ah, damn it, he might
Matthews,
be
Marner.
okay. Matthews, Marner are in. If
Okay.
Marner does not play, all of Canada is gonna call him soft, and we can't have that because I'm gonna lose my mind. So selfishly, Quinn Hughes is out.
Oh,
He has to be. Protect him. Werenski's
Protect him,
in.
please.
As much as the worry is he won't be ready for Stadium Series if he gets hurt, I'm going to say he's in. He's so good. He deserves his moment. And I'm going to say Sidney Crosby is too damn stubborn. I don't care if he's hurt. He is going to be in because who knows how many more international tournaments he will get. He is going to be there. He's going to play center. He'll never play wing. He's going to play center for Team Canada with all the wingers around him. He wants to play with Nathan MacKinnon, and then he's going to get traded to Colorado because apparently that is what everyone's saying now.
okay. So wait a minute. So
Yeah.
your over under is one.
I'm saying one right now, one. But I'm going to say
See how
there's
quick it
going
was
to
just
be,
to say one?
I had to think about it, but I'm going to add there's going to be one more injury
Okay.
between now and the end of
Wow. Is
whenever
that a
games
This
threat?
end.
week. This
Is that a
week.
threat?
Yeah, I've been predicting a lot of things. I've been like, I've been on a roll, like with predicting things to the point where like I've predicted stuff and Rich is like, you can't say that. Like that's bad. I'm like, this is what's gonna happen. I feel
Yeah.
it in my bones. And I've been spot on accurate and he keeps yelling at me because like they all get upset that I predict wrestling storylines and they're like, oh, she's reading the dirt
Here we
sheets. I'm
are.
like, no, I watch soap operas. So this is my thing, predicting things. I am predicting one more injury. I don't want it to happen. I feel it will. There's going to be one more key injury, but it's not going to be a guy that we already mentioned, and they're going to have to be out of the tournament. But it's not going to happen to Finland because Finland has no one left to choose
So
from
your
if
answer
someone
is
gets hurt.
two.
It's going to be two at the end of this, but no one we
I've never
talked about
regretted
already.
asking a question more in my life.
I'm
Sarah, what's
adding something interesting to an injury conversation here, and
You
I'm using
are.
my mind.
You
Okay,
are.
I'm using my mind.
I've lost my
Sarah,
mind.
Sarah, over under, dare I ask, how many players are going to pull out of Four Nations that haven't already?
Uh, oh God. Over 2.
Ooh.
No, over 1.
Okay.
Under
Now
2.
I
1.5.
I'm about to regret asking this question.
Oh God. What now?
Shayna, you can't go through every roster.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
How many players are going to get injured in Four Nations and not be able to return to play at the end of the month?
I'm gonna say one. I don't think it's because like physical, like they're gonna be I know like Brad Marchand was talking about that. There's gonna be a lot of hitting. I think it's gonna be like a freak thing. Like think back to the Olympics, like Tavares and Stamkos getting hurt. I think it's only gonna be one.
Good job, Shayna.
Thank you.
Sarah, what's your
I'm predicting. I'm
That's
back to
good.
predicting.
That's good. That's good. Sarah, what's your answer? How many guys get hurt? This is morbid.
One.
Okay. All right. We
We're
are we
all
are
watching to see who the one guy who we're predicting gets hurt is. It's
And like
very ominous.
I hope it doesn't happen because like
I
that's gonna
know.
be the worry. If a lot of players get injured, it's different from like do you remember like who picks up the player's contract and with Tavares, remember it was like, oh, the season ticket holders for the Islanders, you're totally fucked because they're gonna be out of the playoffs now. Like there were things like that. If there are any big injuries, it's gonna hurt the chance of a World Cup of hockey happening, I would bet.
Yeah.
So let's
And all
hope.
these guys are on different teams. Like they're playing their line mates. It's like you don't want somebody to get hurt. And
until
not that they
JT
want,
Miller and Elias
Okay,
Elias
okay.
Pettersson.
I
yeah,
was just gonna
like,
bring that one up. I'm sorry. People like, first of all, they're like, that's the next time they're gonna meet. Like the Rangers and Canucks still play each other in March, unless nobody thinks Pettersson's still gonna be there in March, so
Well,
that
which
matchup won't
Pettersson?
matter.
See, that's the thing. They're just interchangeable now. You could
They're
put
just
one in the same
interchangeable.
sweater.
I like the new the new I like Elias Pettersson a lot. I feel like he's gonna keep playing. So I also want to know if Elias Pettersson gets traded, who gets to take the letter off their jersey?
It's a good
Because it's like
question.
M and E versus just straight up Pedersen. Like who
Isn't it
becomes the
usually
Pedersen?
seniority? It's usually by
yeah, it's
seniority.
who's ever
But
been in
is
the
it
league the longest.
league longer, not with the team longest, right?
Correct.
So then
Correct.
Marcus Pedersen,
That's why, like,
enjoy.
when a veteran gets traded to a team, they get their number and someone has to give it up.
Yeah. That one always cracks me up. Like you're the young player, you're like, God damn it.
But then usually they get a gift, which I also enjoy.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. That went sideways. Let's burn some verbal sage over this when we're talking about injuries and end our hockey talk with something positive. And that, my friends, is the Senators of Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators, the nation's capital, are not only rebuking becoming the 51st state for the United States of used to be America, they are saying, screw you who didn't think we could be in a playoff spot. They are 7-3-0 in their last 10 games, and they currently sit at third in the Atlantic. Are the Senators for real, Sarah?
Yes. I watched the game yesterday. I mean, unfortunate ending for them. The Lightning are fighting for their lives. I guess the Senators are too, but oh, Allmark had a good start and on his way back, and it was his first game back. So, I mean, players were out and they'll be back. So I think everything's going to be okay.
Shayna?
They got to score more though. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. The
Yeah.
Nashville game a couple days ago was brutal to watch, and it was the only game on, and then that was a lot. But
Yeah.
Shayna, Sarah makes the point. Allmark is finally back, but this team did a lot of this winning without him when he was gone due to injury. How impressed are you by Ottawa, and are they in the playoffs after game 82?
Yeah, I'm so impressed. It's a commitment to defense, and we've seen it all year. Travis Green, like in the beginning of the season, they were really good at like defending the rush, and then things kind of fell apart again. And then Allmark went on the run, but it feels like they're getting back to that defense, and they're really trending up, even with an injury to Jensen. But Anton Forsberg stepped up huge, which is why he kind of earned the starting role over Maryline, who was really good when he came up too. So you had two goalies that's got to make you feel good if you're the Senators too, just in case, because Olmark has gotten hurt twice this season. So hopefully he can stay healthy now. But you got to score goals. Like, and that is a huge worry because they're without Josh Norris. Then they lost Shane Pinto last night, which was, they're all hyping him up to start the game too on the broadcast. And what a weapon it is to have Shane Pinto and have that forward depth to step up when Norris is hurt. And now you lose him too. So I'm worried about that, but I do think they make the playoffs. I truly hope like that they do because I think it's a great story. They finally turn the corner, and I think if they match up to the Leafs, it will be hysterical because did you guys see 2 Saturdays ago Leaf Senators in Ottawa, like to the point where I'm at my brain, I have to think of when it was. Um there were so many Leafs fans at that game, and like listen, I get it because you have Ranger Devil games here and sometimes it's cheaper to go to Prudential Center than MSG, and it's the same case there. But to the point where like I'm like, they're where did they reverse sweaters tonight? Like sometimes you wear your road sweater at home, and we've seen that. And then the anthem singer comes out. I'm like, no, this is a Senators game. Like I legitimately couldn't tell. And I think that'll make for an even more fun playoff series if you see like the buildings going back and forth and just so much energy in it.
A
We had
big
to
old
set that
Battle of
goals.
Ontario.
You guys, I said the 50th, 51st. I said something wrong when I tried to say 50.
51st state.
Yeah, but I don't think I said 51st. Who knows? I was so
I thought you
confounded, but
did.
who knows? Who knows?
It was I liked it. I mean, I don't like it, but like
I love it. Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, all right. That does it for our hockey talk. We end this episode as we end every show, and that is with our favorite game, and that is Fuck, Marry, Kill. And y'all, we knew, all three of us simultaneously knew what it was going to be this week. And that is because the Utah Clubbers are in the process of letting their fans vote for what they think the team name and logo should be. Yeti is off the table. The Yeti cooler people refuse to have fun. They just want to be cold all the time or hot
you could
because
have
it
had a
does
Utah
both.
Yeti selling. Like, come
I
on, that would
know.
have been
It's
cool.
so disappointing. It really is disappointing. So first we hear that the first, because there were first three options were Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, and Utah Wasatch. Well, the voting was so bad that within a day, the voting had changed. And now we have three finalists. They are the Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Mammoth, and the Utah Outlaws. And we have been presented with three logos to choose from. We've shared some initial thoughts on the Twitter. I'm a little bummed that most people seem to just be flat out making fun of these. But here we are. We are going to fuck, marry, kill the three proposed logos for the Utah hockey team. As is tradition, Sara, you get to go first.
Killing Wasatch. I know that there's historical significance there that nobody understands, so I don't think
Well,
we
Wasatch is
should.
killed. It's
Yeah.
Mammoth, Outlaws, or Hockey Club.
Oh, see, okay, this is how bad it is. I have my answer. I'm
Go.
killing hockey club. It's not fair. Why do you get to waltz in and be the hockey club? Like, this is not what we do here. I am fucking Mammoth. I mean, it would be kind of fun, but there's a lacrosse team already named that. And I also think it's just second fiddle to Yeti, which would be the cooler not, I mean, mammoths were real, but the cooler creature of a past time. And I am marrying the Outlaws. I think that would be awesome. I think I saw some of the like iterations of what the gear could be, and that's fun. It's original, it's different, and I like it.
Shayna, the logos, your opinions, please tell us.
Well, I'm going to kill the mammoth. Sorry, besties, you're extinct. I'm not bringing you back. There were other names in the original list way back when that were better, like the Utah Fury. That was a cool one.
But
Mammoth
that was
does,
already a women's team.
yeah, exactly. Like I get it, but I would have liked it because it's such a cool name. Bring her back. Um, but Mammoth doesn't do it for me. I also cannot stand these like collective nouns. Like I hate writing around them. This is about me. I have an issue with that. Some of the iterations have been really cool. I just don't think this is it.
What about the
So
Kraken?
the Kraken are the Kraken and the Wild are the two that don't bother me as much. But
Okay.
like I hate Avalanche. Writing Avalanche. It annoys me
I know.
so much. There's like it's just like when you try to say like the player in Colorado and you say in Carolina and I'm like, well, do I say in North Carolina, in Raleigh? Like, where are we
Yeah, for
going?
sure.
So,
Carolina,
these
things I learned.
just say in Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've done. And I always feel funny, but now I know. All right. Anyway, because I'm selfish, I have to kill the mammoth.
Okay.
I will fuck Hockey Club because, again, does it piss me off writing? Yes, especially after last year with the PWHL. And I thought we're past that because Utah has not been accepted in my stories that I have to write just Utah. And sure. But when Washington did it and it was Washington Football Club, like it was or Washington Football Team. No, they were Football
I
Club.
don't even remember.
Yeah, it was cool. They had
Team.
really cool jerseys. I liked it. And there's something like seeing Utah HC, like that goes hard. I like that. It's cool. And the logo to go with it helps kind of bridge the gap of the fact that they can't have Yeti. Maybe they'll come to an agreement someday. Who's to say? Probably not. But I like it enough that I will fuck it. Outlaws, I will marry every day of the week because when all of the names came out originally, that was my number one. First of all, it's plural. Love that. Second of all, it's cool. And I think that there's so much potential with it. I'm thinking like Vegas and Seattle with the production value that they put into these games. I would like the players to come out of like saloon doors at a bar that like swing open and they kick them open
Yes.
with bandanas and cowboy hats. And I feel like there's so much potential. Yes, it might be cheesy, but so is Vegas and it works. Okay. They lean into the style. And I think when you're an untraditional market, it's what you have to do. So I like that. I like the potential of it that I'm like, okay, let's go. The logo, yes, a little derivative from EA Sports. So there is something to work out. I think that there's potential to make that logo cooler, but as a base model, I will commit to it.
Well, I'm about to piss both of you off extremely. I am going to kill Outlaws. I think it's stupid. It's Utah. They're not outlaws. They're Mormons. They don't even drink coffee. Like, they cannot be the Outlaws, and I don't like the logo. So I'm killing Outlaws. I'm going to fuck Mammoth only because that's what I have to do with it, because I'm going to marry Hockey Club. I think it's hilarious to say the Utah Hockey Clubbers. I've embraced it. I've adopted it. I'm trying to get it to take over the world. And I like their little logo. Yes, does it have to be massaged? But I like that it has the mountains in it. I like that it's basically a nod to the Yeti, but it's not the Yeti. So there you go. We
Hockey
already,
clubbers.
yes.
I
It's
feel like
That's
Myrtle's
fair.
manifesting this too, and I said it to him like it's giving dad. Like that is like a dad joke. Like, come on, kids, let's
exactly.
go see the clubbers. It's
Exactly. It's
for their thousand
ridiculous.
children. There you go.
Oh
We're
my
back.
God,
We're
dude.
full circle.
Oh
You're
my
like, oh
God.
God. We almost got canceled once. We don't need it again. Sorry, sorry, sorry.
Once?
I apologize.
I'd be impressed if it was only once. Who's to say?
Blanket apologies. I take it back.
All right, my friends. Well, that will do it for us. As a reminder, NHL hockey is on break for the next 2 weeks. All three of us have some downtime and some recharge time planned. So we are going to take the next 2 weeks off from episodes unless something major happens. We might have an emergency pod here or there. We'll let you know, but we'll be back officially the last full week of February. Until then, we'll probably still post online because we're all notoriously online. You can find us at YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, 2_much_man. You can find us on BlueSky at 2-much-man. And if you would like to represent us, you can get some merch at toomanymenmerch.com. If you want it, I would recommend ordering it now because I ordered some stuff on January 13th and it's still not here and I'm about to lose my mind. But you can still get it eventually. Anyway, even though we won't talk voice to voice, we'll be out there, we'll be online, we'll be chatting with you all. And until we talk again, please, 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 please try and do something, no matter how big or small, to make sure that hockey truly is for everyone. We will talk to you in a little bit of time.
Love you.
Bye.